It's not very often that you run into a game or a piece of media or a book for that matter. I guess that would technically count as a piece of media that really surprises you in the kind of way that Observation surprised me. The fact that this game has been out for almost full 5 years now, and I didn't notice it or even realize it existed until now is quite the revelation. Um, so yeah, I finished Observation, and I'll have a full length video about a little bit more of a deep dive on the game itself and stuff like that. But let's talk about the second half of this game, or I guess my technically third sitting, because the game is God, man, the game is really good, but at the same time, it has a couple things that I want to gripe about. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump in and see what we got. So last we left Sam and Emma, they were dealing with trying to get the station back online and getting the power back on, which everything was going splendid until the whole evil hexagon thing appeared and did what it did, and all of a sudden things changed, and oh boy did they change. Now Emma and Sam find themselves staring down a second observation space station, which if things weren't already weird enough with the weird floating hexagon and the unnerving text on the screen saying to bring her, things get a little more interesting as they jump towards this. After some deliberation, they jump from their current space station to another space station, because again, they do the whole jumping thing from one point in space to another point in space without any sort of navigation or tether or anything along those lines, which is something that always stresses me out, because if they put any sort of weight in their right foot, left arm, or right arm more than the rest, they'll end up going spiraling into space. But without my obnoxious gripes getting in the way, let's continue with the rest of the explanation of what happened after we stopped last time. Where were we? Right. So they jump over and they find that the new observation station, they had already known that somebody was on that station because they'd spoken earlier, or they tried to speak earlier with whoever was on there. And they find out that Josh, somebody who was supposedly already dead or maybe dead before, was sending them messages, just like they were sending the new observation station messages. And saying like everything's gone wild, and also how can this be, because their Emma or Emma is supposed to be either dead or got blown out an airlock or something along those lines. And anyway, they hop over, they do some checking around, they find Jim, who is the captain who earlier in the game you find already dead, and he's alive at this point, and he's very much being like, hey, don't trust Josh. And so Sam has to go around trying to figure out some stuff and kind of like figure out how to essentially deal with the problem that Josh has become. And then the other two, Sam and Jim, are talking about trying to get over to the other station, because their station that they're on currently is completely dead, and they need to get some sort of contact back to Earth via quantum communications, which was interesting, to say the least, because that basically means that they have a way of communicating with Earth in almost instantaneous speed, which is a wildly advanced technology, if you know anything about how radio waves communicate via the void. But anyway, or not even radio waves, electromagnetic waves travel through the void. But anyway, they jump over, right? And as they're jumping over, Jim's like, I'm sorry, I have to leave you out here because Emma cracks a piece of debris, cracks her visor, and she's like freaking out. And Jim gets in and into the first observation station. And Emma's like freaking out in space and whatnot. And Jim's like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave you here. Because of course he's going to have to leave her there because Emma can't catch a fucking break. And it ends up clearly being that Jim is the bad guy, because when we find Josh as Sam, Josh says like, don't trust Jim, he's been killing everyone because of X, Y, or B reason. Jim also said, or Josh also says that, you know, they sent them there, they sent the station to a location in space on purpose in order to figure out what a communication that they got, some sort of communication that Earth got from somewhere in space, which we eventually learned came from Saturn, saying, you know, move to this location. Basically led the entire space station to get swallowed up and sent to Saturn. So it's basically Josh is like, don't trust Jim. He knows what happened and he's lying, and they sent us out here as almost like a sacrifice. So anywho, moving over to observation 1. Poor Emma again cannot catch a break as she's left outside, right? And Jim then tries to overpower Sam by locking him out of all the systems and shutting him down completely. But Sam is starting to be infected or impacted by the whatever storm that is in Saturn that is being created by. We later find out they're being created by the evil black hexagons, and the process of actually like restarting yourself and finding a new way to kind of like circumvent Jim's like override protocols, because he's the captain, so he has all the protocols. It's actually really cool. You find a terminal that's not being used, or a terminal that hasn't been shut down yet, and it ends up being a sphere, a damaged sphere, and you like open your way through. You find your way all the way back to your mainframe, and you interact with your mainframe. You basically start taking control of the ship again, and Jim at that point decides to do the dumb thing and try to kill the AI. And like anything in this life, trying to kill the AI is not a good thing. But then something happens that is not great, and that is, well, maybe you should see. So yeah, Sam goes through a little bit of a glow up after exploding with blackish reddish tentacles and covering the entire freaking station in this like black goo that kind of sort of looks like a membrane. He covers everything in that stuff, and it starts going all over the place. It starts shooting out like tentacles from across the state, from one wall to another, and it starts to like take over almost like an organic growth. And well, we as Sam, we weaponize the station and we kill Jim. Yeah, we basically we suck out all the oxygen in the facility that we're in with Jim, and we suffocate him to death. Hooray! And it's sort of kind of played off as a basically something you can't control. But I think I think Jim, or not Jim, Sam wanted to kill him. Like it's starting to get to the point like, well, you saw Sam is no longer just an AI. Sam has been completely possessed by something, or the signal that they were receiving from Saturn has fully allowed him to become something completely different, something that is no longer just an AI, no longer just a machine. Because Sam, like when he's trying to basically do any communication with Jim, always has like an undertone of like, you can't trust him, and it's literally spelt out on the screen, you can't trust him. And then anytime Sam has any sort of conversation with somebody, the conversation, yes, it feels a little stilted because you are an AI, so you can only give like one-liners. But the way that you speak to others compared to the way that you speak to Emma is very different. Like even the tone of voice changes, and so you start to realize that you as Sam are no longer just a robot. You are no longer just an AI. You are something else, and you have become something else. And right after killing Jim, you start hearing Emma's voice in your head, and you eventually let Emma into the space station, which is highly troubling given the fact that Emma went from being this scared astronaut to all of a sudden calm, collected, knowing exactly what needs to be done. And then you go through the process of sending a message to Earth and basically kind of sort of letting them know what's going on, but also really kind of just, I feel like the whole purpose is to like damn them. It's to damn Earth as well as yourself, because the whole purpose is to, you know, be one with the evil black hexagon, which is highly uncomfortable. But the ultimate goal is to get observation station to the point where you can be right on top of the storm and just have the storm swallow you. And you do so, you go through the motions, you end up figuring out that you have to blow the connections of the center core part of the station to the rest of the station, because the rest of the station cannot travel with you, so you do so. And eventually, you drop into the storm, and you're on the surface of Saturn. And it's a lot of this.
Oh my God. I feel so heavy. We made it. We made it.
Not gonna lie, the moment she did that, I swear to God, I thought she was like taking the helmet off to kill herself. I was so upset. I was like, we didn't just go through all that just so she dies here, do we? But no, as you can see, she stands up and she walks around, and eventually you end up walking to meet with the big evil black hexagon, which is a hell of an introduction, because it then turns into a lot of this.
I think I understand why there are so many of us. This is every attempt coming together. Where we are, it's not one place. It's all of them compressed. It's time. We're ready.
turns into us talking to the evil black hexagon, and you find out that, or you eventually find out that there is more than just one evil black hexagon, that these things have been calling out to us for God knows how long, and they want us to become one with them. Like, both Sam and Emma need to become one with them. And it's very interesting, because before you actually end up meeting with them, you see a different Emma laying in the dirt next to like a piece of the broken station, and you come to realize that it's multiple Emmas, multiple Jims, multiple Joshes, multiple observation stations that end up kind of collapsing into Saturn, because they all in their own respective timelines come together in this same zone and try to figure out what is going on, what is calling them. And you come to realize that a lot of this story is really the story of uncountable Emmas and Jims and other space stations and dead Emmas that end up trying to get you to this point right here, where you're talking to them and allowing them to fully let you experience them and let you in. And in a way it ends well, and also in a way it doesn't end well, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute.
It's okay. Look. There's so many of us. It has to work. I'm really here with you, aren't I? How do you feel, Sam? Different. New. I've never felt that before, have I?
And that is how the freaking game ends. It ends with Emma and Sam becoming one, which is in its own right is this whole thing, but also being teleported back to Earth so they can bring everyone else to Saturn. And basically the world ends. Or we all get we all become one with Saturn. It becomes a situation where the evil black hexagons want to essentially assimilate us into them, and it is honestly a spectacular ending. I wasn't expecting them to go so hard with the I guess you could call it the bad ending. I don't think there are multiple endings to this game. I might check it out, and that's mainly because and I say might because I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to play this game again, because it has a couple of gripes, and because it's a game that is not really meant for like replayability. But we'll get into that in the next video. Anyway, once again, thank you very much for stopping by. If you want to see me play any other games in the future, just go ahead and leave a comment down below as to what that game is. If you've played Observation before, let me know what you think of what I've been talking about the game, of what you think I missed or what I should look into more. If you want to see more of me, go ahead and subscribe and um, stick around because I do plan on playing a lot more games and talking about them and how they reflect in the overall genre of sci-fi and fantasy, as well as how it impacts us overall. Also, stick around because I plan on making a fuller length video on the whole game of Observation as a whole and kind of its inspirations and what works and what doesn't. Also, I plan on playing. Like I said, I plan on playing more games, and the next one's probably going to be Alien Isolation. So if you really like that game, stick around. Watch me get overly scared from what I know is going to be a very intelligent AI. And yeah, anyway, love y'all. Thanks again for sticking around. And as always, peace.